Hello, everyone, and welcome to a PCFX fan club video. I'm here today to talk to you about something that, if you're in our community, you probably already are well aware of and have probably possibly checked it out yourself. We're going to be looking at Cascade. I actually have the original version I burned of this back when, I think it was after Portland Retro Game Expo last year. I had found out about this from our community member, Sauce or Gameblabla. It's a little Tetris demo. So there's two Tetris tech demos on the PCFX now. David Shadoff did blocks, and the purpose of that demo is basically to see, I believe if I recall correctly, hopefully I'm not getting this wrong, David, I believe it was to show how what it was like to port stuff over from the PC Engine to the PCFX. That's probably oversimplifying it. But then also, with Cascade, Gameblabla wanted to kind of push the 3D hardware of the PCFX a little bit. He previously did Anarch, which was basically like a first-person shooter, very Doom-like game running on the PCFX. And it seems impressive for what it is, kind of thing, right? So I don't really know. Maybe this is something I should ask him about, because now I'm thinking about it, I don't think I really asked him what was the difference between what Anarch is doing versus what this game is doing. Hey, this is Ben from this Ben's future, but your past. Basically, it seems like the Anarch was just kind of like a first attempt to do something on the PCFX, and with the trying to kind of like better understand the system and like optimize things, Sauce decided to make their own game rather than port something basically. I did ask him some questions before I jumped into this, so I have a little bit of insight on this kind of thing, this game. So, anyways, we're gonna switch over to our game view here. I got a little CRT here on the left, but it's just gonna be too hard to see probably. So I'm gonna instead look at my capture feed. That being said, I think this demo runs like at a pretty slow pace overall. I've heard it's maybe doesn't emulate properly on emulators, so it maybe runs faster there. Interestingly enough, Gameblabla or Sauce created this little theme song here about this character on the back of the screen. It's kind of like, you should listen to this on your own. If you ever check this out, you should sit down and listen to this whole thing. But it's kind of like about this, like, I don't know, a puzzle thief, bandit, detective. I don't know. It's like something that I would really like personally outside like the PCFX, but it's a very cute little theme song. But as you can see, we got kind of a little preview of what's going on with this game here, where there is a 3D block being rendered and spinning on the screen. So there's actually two modes. We'll look at arcade mode first, because that's going to be the Tetris mode you all know and love. So we'll start with that. And there's like vocal music kind of all filtered throughout this game, I feel like, or different background music, maybe I should say. I don't know if they all have vocals, but yeah, so it's basically just like a 3D version of Tetris. I don't really know much about Tetris, to be honest with you. I only recently played the Game Boy Tetris, kind of like seriously. I've played Tetris before, but I didn't really understand for sure how Tetris worked. Now I know you're supposed to build flat, so I'm going to be building these 3D blocks as flat as possible as I sit here and talk. But yeah, so I talked a little bit about to Sauce about like what this demo was. And sorry, I keep switching between these two names. Sauce, I believe, is what their name is in the Discord. About the why make this demo in the first place. It seemed like the big thing is that one of the things that the PCFX is that it doesn't really have 3D hardware. And I say this to somebody who's not super technically minded, so anything any of our technical people in the Discord tell you should be prioritized over anything I say. But as far as I understand, PCFX does not really have 3D hardware. There was some like talk at one point about potentially having like a 3D expansion card kind of thing, and I don't really know how true or not true that is. That's something I need to sit down and like better understand at some point. But there are games on PCFX that did do 3D. Boundary Gate, which Sauce did mention that they thought that was one of the more impressive uses on 3D on the system. And there's also a game called Nurgens or something like that. I think it's what it's called. It's like a kind of flight shooter kind of deal. I'm already messing up. My brain turned off to talk. And so that also uses 3D. So there's not a ton of games that use the 3D here. A big part of the reason he mentioned wanting to use 3D on the system was when originally kind of looking at the system, people were basically saying like, hey, this is very much a 2D heavy system, so you should focus on that. And then Sauce was like, absolutely not. I think the big thing that they mentioned is that like it was a challenge. It was an interesting challenge, and another thing they mentioned was the fact that they didn't necessarily think the PCFX's hardware, 2D hardware, was all that impressive. I am somebody, if you know from the podcast, who does not have a great grasp of what 2D hardware does most of the time. Like, I can't really tell you differences between a lot of consoles, like 8-bit, 16-bit. Yes, I can jump there and tell you, like, I can kind of generally describe the differences there. But like something like a Sega Saturn or something like that, you can kind of see like on here, by the way, if you look at the screen, like sometimes when you put these blocks down, like there's some visual graphics that kind of like get pushed around. I'd be curious to know what exactly that is. But I just don't really understand like what the capabilities of 2D was during the 32-bit era or anything after that, right? So I'm not the person to ask. But Sauce basically said he thinks the PCFX is not really that great of a 2D system when compared to like the Saturn or something like that, right? I have no strong feelings for or against that statement. I would say probably true. I would say probably the Saturn is better than the PCFX in 2D performance. So probably 3D performance as well. I think guaranteed. So yeah. And so a big part of it was just, I think it's a challenge, right? Like, how do you get something like this running on a system that wasn't really designed to do this, right? Since the software rendering, I think I believe my understanding in software is like a very processor intensive thing, but I am saying that completely out of my butt right now. So don't take that as a 100% official thing. So yeah, there we go. I think that's called a Tetris, where you get all the rows. So, you know, some minor graphical glitches. There's no, as far as I can tell, no like, I forget what it's called. Like fast drop. So like there's no way to like press up and things move down. But the big thing, you know, Sauce said was that this was more of a tech demo more than anything, just to kind of prove that it can be done, and to some extent, I believe also kind of just learn about the hardware itself and how it works. Sauce mentioned that they like to target like kind of niche consoles because typically it kind of helps with people kind of taking a look at stuff because there's kind of built-in audience, which I totally understand with that kind of thing. So, yeah. But yeah, Sauce said Boundary Gate out of all of, well, these, I seem to understand from him that Boundary Gate ultimately is the game that they think best fits, or best uses 3D on the PCFX. I'd be curious. The thing is, I just don't understand enough probably to really say too much about it. All right, let's try the other mode real quick. We're gonna get a game over here real quick. I want to show you the other mode because that actually is. I was kind of surprised to see it.
So close, but I never quit.
I also like that, like, the part that you messed up here is like the part that gets highlighted at the end. I don't know if that was intentional or not. I feel like it's probably intentional. I think it's cool. I think it's a cool little thing. All right, puzzle mode. Here we go. So puzzle mode, I mean, I don't think Tetris games have lacked puzzle modes in the past or something like that. I'm not saying this is like new, but I just didn't expect. This feels like it was kind of unnecessary, but in like a fun way of like, hey, you didn't need to do this to prove anything, but I'm glad you added this mode as just like a, hey, you know, here you go. Here's something. Get in there. Play some puzzles. I don't know how many puzzles there are. I haven't, it says left 2 at the top, so. Is that pieces left? Okay, I think that's pieces left. This might be a different song as well. And I think this is in Japanese. All right. I'm going to guess this. So, in the README, it did mention that there might be more puzzles in puzzle mode. What am I doing here? Am I going to go all the way down? Oh, I wish I could see what pieces were next. I'm gonna, no, that seems bad. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna pray to the Tetris gods. I do feel like sometimes things like slow down occasionally. I don't 100% understand what's happening there. So, all right, we're gonna do this maybe. I feel like I messed this up because I think this is gonna be
So close.
game
but I
over.
never quit.
Yeah. I wonder if I can. We're gonna try one more time to get through there. But yeah, I believe in the README it says to do add more puzzles, but I don't know. It says 0.3 in the README, so this is 0.4 or alpha 4. So there might be more puzzles or not in the future. I'll double check. I'm gonna put it on screen right now. Sauce told me this. Look at that. Puzzles or not, you find out. So yeah. But that's kind of it. I just think it's kind of a cute little way to play Tetris. I think the little main character stuff is like a fun thing as well. I very much am kind of like into weird detective, phantom thief kind of things. I messed up. I don't know what I was doing. My brain turned off. But I think that's probably enough to look at that. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for checking it out. Thank you again, Sauce, for creating another demo on here. If you haven't, go ahead and check out Anarch as well. It's like a first-person shooter on the PCFX. It runs okay. It's not super playable, but it is functional. And yeah, but I think that, I mean, either way, like I am not somebody who could probably appreciate this to the fullest in terms of like, you know, what's going on here. So, you know, I think it is, I'm sure, a challenge. And I think the bigger thing is with a lot of this stuff is like trying to better understand how the PCFX works. So potentially in the future, there could be a little bit more extra done. Also, there can be a puzzle solving detective Catboy on the PCFX. I don't know if there's any, I don't think there's any other character like this. Although Ojo-sama Susomu, that's a bunch of detectives and thieves. So maybe that's why I like this, is I also like that game a lot and all the characters in that. But we're going to leave it at that. Thank you so much for coming. Again, we're trying out a few different things with videos, so let me know how this goes for you. Yeah, talk to you later. Bye.